Even in Zoom, they have like a sergeant at arms. It is for real. Like no talking out of order whatsoever, anything. It was just interesting to watch it.
Well, and I certainly have a more collegial approach to it, I think, because I always want people to be able to be heard, but it does slow our meetings. And I think we would be better served if I, stuck a little bit more to the rules. Sorry. Okay. Where are we on time? We got another minute. And who do we have with us? Everybody's still with us, right? Sarah. Okay. All right, well, it is 6:30. So I think we will get started. In accordance with Ohio Revised Code 121.22, House Bill 197 and House Bill 404, I hereby call to order the Board of Education of Bexley City School District regular school board meeting for Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. Mr. Smith, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Barno.
Here.
Ms. Minio.
Here.
Ms. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Powers.
Here.
Ms. Snowden.
Here. Thank you. So can I get an approval of our minutes, which is item 1C, a motion to approve our minutes, which is item 1C.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. And also a motion for approval of our agenda.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I will just have one comment on that. On our current agenda tonight, we have an executive session listed. We do not plan on having an executive session tonight, so I don't think it needs to be removed technically, because we could get through. We could certainly find the need for it at some point and in the discussion tonight, but hopefully not. I just wanted to make note of that. So we have a motion, a second to approve our agenda for tonight. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. That motion carries. All right, so we are moving on to awards and recognitions. And Dr. Good, I don't believe we have any this evening. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. So we will go on to board reports. And for that, I start with our policy committee. We have for approval tonight, you will see under our for item 4C, our approval for policies that we referenced last and had first reading of in our last board meeting. So we will see those tonight, and we did not have any further policies come before the committee. So that is my report on our policy committee. Moving on to Ms. Minio.
So for the legislative liaison, I don't have anything to report tonight either. Usually I get an email update from the OSBA the first couple of days in the month, and I don't know if it's too soon in the month or it's a new year and they haven't just got around to it yet. So, but when I get that update, I will share with you out whatever they highlight for us to know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Barno.
I gave an extensive report for the tech committee last month. Nothing's happened since then, and we have not had athletic board meeting, so I have nothing to report.
Great. Thank you very much. Ms. Mitchell.
Just a brief report. The board, Bexley Education Foundation Marketing Committee just recently met and discussed any number of initiatives to proceed. Obviously, COVID presents challenges in the fundraising nonprofit world that are sometimes hard to overcome. The thing I think I enjoy about that particular group is it allows my creative brain to flex a few muscles, but it's such a great group of people that kind of come up with really great ideas on how to bring in more people into the BEF and understanding its mission and its role. And it goes without saying that their partnership really created that avenue, as we all know, for us to be able to bring one-to-one devices to our students. So other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Powers.
Thank you. None of these groups that I'm responsible for reporting on, the Bexley Rec Board, Franklin County School Board Alliance, and the OSBA COVID Town Hall meetings, we haven't had any meetings since our December 15th board meeting, so I don't have anything to report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I should have made mention of the fact that we definitely had an abbreviated time in between our last board meeting and this one, and obviously a holiday or two along the way. So I did expect those reports to be brief tonight. Then moving on to Ms. George. Are you ready for school to start tomorrow?
Yes. Is that the correct answer?
That is the correct answer, good girl.
Yeah, so we are going to start our student council meetings tomorrow with our exec board and just get the ball rolling, but we haven't met since school's been let out.
Okay, thank you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed a break as the rest of our staff has. I trust, and I know that Dr. Good had the opportunity to go by and to see several staff members in the last couple of days, or maybe all of them. So I appreciate that too. I hope everybody's had a restful break and a good start to the school tomorrow. So thank you, Sarah. All right, so moving on to our superintendent's comments. Dr. Good.
Well, good evening, and am I on? I am on.
You are.
Okay. Good evening and Happy New Year. Educators, as you indicated, have been preparing for tomorrow's return of the Bexley City School student body. Sarah, we're very excited to welcome you. The school and district newsletters, which were sent before and during the winter break, and even this week, today, detail who attends when, if you're wondering. We look forward to having our elementary pupils present every single day and our middle and high school students every other day. The increase in time for the fundamental skills instruction and the additional in-person contact between students and teachers is really a testament. It's a testament to what is possible when our community works together to find solutions where other communities may see barriers. So thank you again to Bexley's residents for that engagement. It may have been one of the greatest gifts given to our youth this holiday season. And who would have ever thought that more time in school would be something that children would want? My, how the pandemic has shifted our perspective. I've asked Dr. Williams this evening to share an update on COVID-19 and specifically on the effects of the pandemic in an effort to assure the board and its constituents of our continued commitment to the health and safety of our building occupants. Dr. Williams.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks for the opportunity to kind of share the progress and the work that a lot of people have put in to kind of pull off this information I'm about to share with you tonight. I think you'll find it a successful story, as I have. And again, it's attributed to a lot of people's influence and help and guidance to get us to this point. Obviously, when we were beginning the work on this in May and June, there were a lot of unknowns, and there's still some unknowns, but we were in uncharted waters for sure, and didn't really have where to go to get answers and things like that. And I can't thank enough of our task force again. They have given us a lot of guidance, advice, never considered decision makers. So I want to make sure that's always been clear out to the community that's out there listening, but they do challenge my thinking, so it affords me the opportunity to make recommendations based on the things that we have here. And without their support and their guidance, I don't think we would be in this position that we're in right now. So I want to again thank everyone that's served on that committee, which included staff, nurses, public, our doctors, and medical field. It's just been a wonderful experience. And I think the numbers today, I want to share you some information that will attest to that. If you look at the dashboard, which I'm sure you're not on right now, but I would like to highlight, since the school year, we've had our cumulative numbers are not extremely high. I mean, we had 40 high school people so far, high school students, 13 Bexley middle school students, 13 Cassingham students, 3 Maryland Avenue, and 6 Montrose elementary school students who have tested positive. And I think a lot of times, if you remember back in November, we had a very quick spread that went through. It started mainly with someone who played in one of our scrimmages. An opponent had COVID, and it was amazing on how fast that caused that to spread. So those numbers are a little exaggerated to high school because of that spread that we experienced early in November or middle of November in that area. But when you're looking at numbers at 3 at Maryland, 6 at Montrose, 13 at the middle school in Cassingham, those are really impressive numbers when you look around the world and see what's happening. So I wanted to share that. And as far as our staff, we've asked them to, follow the Bexley Health Pledge and follow that. So as far as staffing, we've had 9 at the high school test positive, 6 at the middle school, 3 at Cassingham Elementary, 0 at Maryland, and 4 at Montrose. So I think the protocols have been put in place, and they've been followed, and they're working. Some other COVID information I think maybe as a board you should be aware of is that the Family First Coronavirus Act, the leave that was instituted, basically gave every employee 10 extra days of leave that could be used for quarantining or dealing with the COVID-related issues or for childcare. And those days had to be used for one of those reasons. And we were waiting to see what would happen. That was set to expire on 12/31, and we all were kind of waiting to see what the federal government would do with that. And they did not extend that, so it has expired. The Family First Coronavirus Act that expired. That's one thing I wanted you to know. Another thing is that just give you some numbers that are more recent. They're high, but they've been on a downward decline, and it's hard to tell because of the last 4 weeks between winter break and school going remote. We did see a significant drop in people notifying us of positive cases, but at the same time, Franklin County's numbers also indicated that that numbers were dropping in our community as well, as far as reported numbers. But as of yesterday, there were 33 new Bexley cases reported, and that includes all cases from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. So that's been averaging of about 7 or 8 a day, which is, we'd like to see that lower, but it's certainly manageable from a school's operations point. And I think from December 8th to January, I have a breakdown about how that shakes out between students. We get that data now at a student level, and what we have here is that 25% of the student age in Bexley, 25% are elementary age, 44% are Bexley middle school age students, and 31% are Bexley high school age students. I think that's an interesting bit of data too for basically almost the last month of COVID cases. And I think another important thing that I think that we're going to spend some time talking about the task force that I want to alert you to is that Franklin County, we're still considered red because of some changes that they made, even though we're only meeting 3 of the 7 indicators. And because of that, and well, what Franklin County decided to do, 3 indicators a few months ago meant we would be orange at this time, but we're still considered red because they changed their processes. Again, that's what everyone does in COVID, is we have to keep changing. And so this is not a judgment or a degrading comment on the decision. It's just stating a fact. And that is that now they will not drop back to orange, they've decided, until there's a 2-week incident drop below 100 per 100,000. So we're going to be in red probably a very long time. And it could impact, and why I bring that up, the learning decision tool that we use to create, we built that based on the notion that when we hit 3 indicators, we would go back to orange, and that would cause us to behave a certain way. So that I'm just sharing that information with you so that you're aware of it, and we'll talk about in the task force in the future if we will have recommendations, which we did have some disclaimers in our tool that said if things change, we might come back and revisit that. And I'm not sure we will, but I just wanted to let you know that we might bring that conversation up because of the change from how difficult it will be for us to get back to orange as a county. CATS data that we have right now in Bexley is right now 392 per 100,000. As of yesterday, I think that was as of today, this morning when I checked. And I think it's important to know that we were almost double that just a few days ago. And the 33 cases I mentioned earlier, so there could be some reporting lags that cause those numbers to appear lower than they actually are. But the trajectory, if you're looking at it that way, is promising. As far as Franklin County, to just give you a feel that Franklin County at the same time has been 706 per 100,000 during the same time. Also, you heard the governor last week talk about educators getting vaccines. That's obviously caught a lot of attention in our school district. On Monday, we started getting information from Franklin County Public Health. Basically, where we are with vaccines, it's going to be voluntary. Obviously, it's private. We're not requiring people to get vaccines or anything like that, but we're going to educate and share the opportunities and let individuals make their own decisions. But the nurses are the first group that gets it. They're in tier 1A. And so we've notified Franklin County that we have 7 people. And I guess how it's going to work is that they will email Dr. Good or myself, the point of contact, who then forwards a schedule of appointments to the nurses in our district. And then they go on and they find a place and a location and a time that works into their schedule. And they can pick that up. And then they'll keep updating that at least weekly. And hopefully it could be more frequently based on how much they're able to get vaccines, how they're able to get more vaccines and pick locations to do that. So that's exciting. I've heard today that they're looking at 2 weeks for teachers and employees to have that. So we've alerted teachers that this is coming, and our process will be the same for the teachers as it was for the nurses. Once we get that, we'll share the information, and then they go out. And if they choose to get the vaccine, they certainly have the right to do so. And again, COVID has obviously impacted how we deliver our instruction. And you know that we're going to hybrid 2.0 tomorrow. That's exciting. And I think from an observer who's been a part of a lot of these conversations, I've just been extremely impressed with Bexley Rec officials, Katie Sarvis and Mike Price, JCC and Mike Clapper, our chief academic officer, Jill Abraham, and our business manager, John Eikenberry. I mean, to pull off this Bexley Rec Day, this daycare issue, transportation, food, this is a major ordeal, and they were able to put this all together in about a week. It's amazing. And I want to thank Julie Carvey, too, for working out the cafeteria and the food items with them as well. So at this time, Jill, Mrs. Abraham, if you would mind sharing where we are with the how the new 2.0 model is going to look?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Williams. So we are ready for tomorrow. We're very excited about tomorrow. Actually, our principals and our teachers have been working to make sure that schedules are in place and communication with families so that everybody feels prepared. I was in the middle school today and actually passed a student who was just beginning in the second semester for the first time in the school setting, and she was very excited. So that makes it all the work is worth it at that point. I want to echo what Dr. Williams has said about Bexley Rec and the JCC and their partnership. They have been nothing short of incredible with us. They have worked with Bexley families to support approximately just a little over 100 students will be participating in their childcare. And so just for perspective in terms of what's the work that we've been doing with them, coordinating schedules as students are participating in either our schools or in their childcare. Some are staying on for lunch until the midday transition and they're picked up and taken on to their next childcare place, or they're coming in early. And just a lot of coordination between our staff and their staff. I can't tell you the number of times we've communicated within the last couple of days. So I just am grateful to the community and to these particular organizations for being able to support us as we make this move.
Thank you, Mrs. Abraham. And I think she mentioned a bit about the transportation. I think it's important for the board and the community to know that the transportation of the students between AM and PM, these daycare centers are not being absorbed by the district. And so we're still in compliance with policy EEA. And again, just appreciate them so much. Julie Carvey and her food service team are making sure that food is being delivered a week's time to people who have requested it. She's making sure that the students that need food at the St. Albans, where the Bexley Rec Daycare is, they'll have food when they eat there. So it's been a team effort, and it's been humbling, but it also gives you a great sense of pride to be a part of a team, to see them accomplish great things on behalf of the needs of our students in our community. So very happy to report that. As far as hybrid 2.0, as you know, the reason we we landed on the model we chose before was our concern about cleaning protocols. Back in May and June, we're finding out transfer of surface is not as big a concern as it was 6-7 months ago. But we're still following the same plan. We have students will sanitize their hands when they walk into a room, sanitize their hands when they walk out of the room. They will clean desks in between groups and cohorts. If the plan's working, why mess with it? So, and we have time built into the schedule to do that. So we're going to continue to ask our staff and students to kind of maintain those same protocols. So I wanted to share that. Appreciate your time. I got a couple more things that I'll talk about. The athletic update. So far, we've had, since we've reinstated the teams, we've had 2 athletes that we've had to place into quarantine, but we haven't had to shut down a team because they were reported and announced their contact. And so that's being a team player right there when you do that. So it doesn't impact the team. We were very concerned about what would happen after winter break and the holidays, if that would be a time when we'd see large spread and things like that. So we've been taking our time, getting fans back into the gymnasiums and indoor facilities with poor ventilation and things like that. So we have a plan in place. And I'd like to thank Kristen Harp and Pam Hagley, the boosters, for organizing and volunteering to be organizing COVID monitors, because that's a big job. And in a couple of games that I've seen, it's a task because a lot of people wear their mask below their nose. They pull it down when they want to yell at a referee or a player or something like that. And we just don't need to take that risk for our kids or anybody else in there. But they're organizing parents to help us with that. That's greatly appreciated. So that fans will return on the 11th, and we'll keep monitoring that to make sure the spread and everything else. Our ultimate goal is that the kids are safe and that that they can participate in as many activities as they safely can and keep their education, obviously, first and foremost, our top priority. And so there's a lot of parents we like to thank for helping that too. I don't know who they are right now. I know they spent the last few days trying to put that together. And the last thank you I want to announce is that Brad Pettit has put together a new tracking system that's we're using. Instead of just a single spreadsheet, we've created Google Forms where we're inputting the information. It keeps the tracking much easier, and it allows me and the nurses and whoever needs Dr. Good can sort so much easier, and the information is much more accessible. So I can be a little bit more responsive instead of having to count and track and look for colors on the spreadsheet when there's 700 names on there and try to get information. So I want to thank him too, but that was implemented when we got back to school. Secretaries have been trained to use it when they get that information. Not everybody has viewing rights, but everyone can use that. So we're encouraging parents and students to continue to use the COVID reporting form on the district webpage. That's what triggers us, alerts us, and then we use the Google form that Brad Pettit put together, and that's creating a new document and tracking system for us as well. So I appreciate you taking the time, appreciate everything that you guys are doing as a Board of Education, and I think that kind of wraps up my long-winded COVID update.
Well, I appreciate it. I know that there's a lot, clearly there's a lot going on. And I do just want to commend our whole staff and thank you, because, you know, in this new world, this COVID pandemic world, we have continuously emphasized the need for creativity. And I feel like you guys are really rising to the occasion. You're showing, you know, flexibility of thought, and we're continuing to build capacity internally with our own structures. And as you say, that'll make everything run more smoothly and allow us to do our job in even more creative and better ways. So thank you very much for all the work that's gone into this. Okay, let's see. Dr. Good, are there any other comments you have at this point? Can you hear me? Wait, oh, Dan, sorry, you're muted.
And now I'm not.
No, now you're not. There you are. Good work.
Sorry. Thanks, Dr. Williams, for that report, and Jill and Ms. Abrahams for weighing in there. I do want to reiterate, we've enjoyed a really exceptional partnership with Bexley Rec and with the J. And not only our external partnerships, but I think we need to highlight the internal partnerships that are rising to the occasion. So I've asked Ms. Abraham to review how we're sustaining Bexley City Schools' momentum in our work around student and family engagement during a period of transition. So specifically the departure of our Director of Student and Family Engagement, Liaison Smith. Ms. Abrahams?
Yeah, thank you. As Dr. Good said, we've been looking very closely at the responsibilities within that role and how we can best continue with the momentum that we've had this year in regards to several areas of our work. So I'm going to highlight a few of those areas. We continue to meet and identify other potential supports within the district. So one of the areas that fell under Ms. Smith's role within student and community engagement was our diversity and equity and inclusion work. And so that's been a significant body of work for us in so many areas within the district this year. And so as we look to folks within our group who might be able to continue that work, we have tapped Raquel Armstrong, who is our middle school assistant principal, and Steve Shapiro, who is our experiential coordinator. And together, the two of them will work with the variety of groups that encompass this body of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And there are a number of groups, from partnerships with Central Ohio networks, with other folks from school districts who are doing this work, through Ohio State, through our own student organization, BARP, within our community, BMPA, and even as of today, Ms. Armstrong was participating with the city in diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So we've looked at the number of organizations, and we have aligned or identified how both Steve and Raquel will be able to continue that work, continue those partnerships. And then, of course, a very important part of that work is just continuing to engage our equity task force in the work that has started this year. And so Ms. Armstrong is prepared to take the reins and assist us as we continue on that journey. Another area that we've looked at in regards to identifying a school leader who can help, and that's in the area of social emotional learning for our students. And that really includes support of students within classrooms. It's the mental health aspects of our students, as well as the leadership with school counselors and nationwide clinicians. And so we've asked Ms. Sam McMasters to serve as a connection, district connection and support within this area of work and leadership. And so she's got extensive study, or is continuing her study in this area. And so she's well prepared to provide the necessary facilitation for the work that falls within this area. The other group that has a significant role within the district is the district school-wide climate committee. And so this group meets once a month, and they have been our key facilitators in providing professional development to our staff. And so we've asked Steve Shapiro and Ms. Armstrong if they would collaborate to continue the work that we've got started with this group. And the most of our pressing upcoming work is a district-wide book study that was distributed to our staff before we went into winter break. And so they will work with that group to provide monthly facilitation of this district-wide book talk. And then one other area, the true student and community engagement side of this work, we've asked Mr. Shapiro to step forward. And we thought this was a really nice connection to a lot of the experiential work that he does in making connections between both the district and out to the community, and now community back in. And so a couple of things that I would share that he has done just in his short time, and some of this in collaboration with Dr. Good. He is currently working with a couple of our community members and parents, Britt Coiler-Gibson, Elizabeth Ellman of the city of Bexley, and Elizabeth Garrett. And this is a passion project of theirs in terms of creating parent and teacher support through a volunteer coordinated system. And so Mr. Shapiro is working along with them to provide assistance to our families and our teachers throughout the district. We also are looking at an opportunity for the young women of Bexley High School and connecting them to a Bexley Women in Business project. And again, just giving them the opportunity to interact with women in different industries and recognize their leadership skills and accomplishments. Dr. Good is going to be working with BMPA and with Steve Shapiro in the design of a mentorship program. And then we're really excited because a local troop, Boy Scouts 166, has identified that they would like to create a fair in the summer that helps provide opportunities for our Bexley students to be aware of the various youth programs that are available to them. So that's a variety of experiences and groups and networks that we are looking to connect to. And again, for us, it's important that we just continue the momentum of this work that has begun. So it's been great to have a number of our existing leaders and faculty to be able to step forward and to provide this support.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's a lot of good stuff.
It is. Thank you, Jill. So just a few more comments. While it may appear to the public that school personnel are really facilitating the development and implementation and evaluation of these plans that allow us to continue delivering the experiences our community expects, we've really one other group to thank this month, and that group is you, board. It's the 5-member elected Board of Education who represent the City of Bexley residents. You know, there are over 700 boards of education in Ohio, and each of those boards oversees and manages their personnel and the properties of their districts. And while it's widely understood that school board members are elected to establish policies, and those policies provide the framework for their community schools, I think there are few citizens that can appreciate the hours and hours and hours of time each week that board members give to provide leadership. They help create and monitor district plans so that students have the tools and the skills to reach their full potential. Our Bexley City Schools Board of Education consistently advocates for the best interests of our students, particularly during this pandemic, when they've played pivotal roles in providing safe, ongoing instruction to students. And they've taken this responsibility seriously by attending lengthy and sometimes very challenging meetings to understand Bexley's unique problems and its opportunities, its values, and its culture. Our school board has an impact on every aspect of our schools. It is a huge responsibility, and far too often we neglect to recognize the dedication and the hard work of Marley, Michelle, Alicia, Victoria, and John. So tonight, at the beginning of School Board Recognition Month, I say, on behalf of your two direct reports, Treasurer Kyle Smith and myself, and on behalf of the 400 plus members of the Bexley City Schools professional learning community, thank you. We salute your public service, your dedication, and your civic responsibility, which makes local control of Bexley City Schools in our community possible. We applaud you for your vision and your voice to help shape a better tomorrow for our children and for this community. And while the flowery sentiments I've made are indeed sincere, I believe the most poignant expression of gratitude is really a simple one, and that is thank you, board, for caring about Bexley's children. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. That is so very nice. I did not know this was the month of school board appreciation. I'm glad to hear we got a whole month. It was really very nice. Thank you. All right. So we will then, given that, move on in our agenda for items 4B through F. And can I have a motion to approve items 4B through F?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right. Are there any comments or questions on any of the items in that section?
Ms. Snowden, I did have a question on 4F.
Yes.
I thought we didn't have marching band per se, so I'm just trying to understand. I need to actually go to that screen, sorry. And look at that supplemental. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure who I should be asking, Dr. Good. What actually is this role? Does this Logan Pelfrey support in other music areas as well?
Thank you for the question. I'm going to ask our Chief Academic Officer to
Oh, yeah, perfect.
illuminate this a little bit. Thank you.
Yeah, Logan does serve as a support to Andy Johnson.
In all the other academic areas, correct?
It within band.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to, you see marching band assistant director and you're like, we don't have marching band right now. So I was just trying to understand. So thank you.
Yes.
That was the only question I had, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on items 4A, B through F? All right, then, Mr. Smith, can you please call the roll for this?
Mr. Barno,
Yes.
Ms. Powers,
Yes.
Ms. Minio,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Snowden.
Yes, thank you. All right, so moving on to our treasurer's report. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Just to piggyback off of what Dr. Good said about Board Appreciation Month, I like stats, and so I'm going to provide you a little bit of stats of 2020 as board members. We had 23 meetings last year with worth 75 and a half hours. Now, last year was an extraordinary year, but you've definitely put in your time just on the public facing side of board meetings. We all know that there's double or triple or quadruple the amount of time that you do preparing for board meetings, but 23 meetings in 75 and a half hours is quite a bit, but kudos for that extraordinary year. So looking into the agenda items for the treasurer's section, the most important note for the financials this month is on line 3.02, insurance benefits. After the forecast was finalized in November, we received a notification from Medical Mutual that they were voluntarily reducing our premiums for December only, primarily due to usage not being as great during the earlier months of the pandemic when doctors' offices were closed. So this was a savings of about $120,000 to the district, and you can actually see on that line the variance on the far right is almost identical to that savings that not only the district received, but employees received that premium discount for December. Another item not on the agenda but worth mentioning is the district's property valuations after last year's update. So every 3 years there's an update or a reappraisal of our property values, and 2020 was one of those years. It was an update year, not a reappraisal year, which is the bigger one. The district's valuation went from $563 million last year to $661 million. That's a 17.4% increase. However, because of House Bill 920, we will not see an increase in revenue on the majority of that, only inside millage. If you recall, just over a little bit of a year ago, we passed a 9 mil operating levy. That 9 mil operating levy is now collecting at 7.7 mils in residential only. I'm just talking about residential. Commercials factored a little bit differently, but so there is a reduction of that 9 mil operating levy already. And just to give you some historical of tax rates, I know we may not care about tax rates, we just care about the dollars going towards taxes, but as a tax rate, before the levy, our operating residential tax rate was 40 mils. After the levy, that became 49 mils. Now it's 42.78. So the tax rate again went from 40 to 49. Now it's down to 42.78, and that's all due to House Bill 920. So while there might be some individual fluctuations in tax bills, but it's primarily due to whether our house increased value above that 17.4% average. If our house value only increased maybe 8%, we might see a reduction in our taxes for the year. So overall, the district will not receive a large increase in taxes, only on that inside millage rate. But I thought it was interesting to see the last 3 years of our residential tax rate go up because of a levy and then go back down because of property valuation increases. And again, that's because of House Bill 920. And that's all I had to say tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's school finance is amazingly complex, and I appreciate you kind of dialing down on things every so often to keep us a little more fresh on all those topics. I cannot believe when you said we approved the levy a year ago, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's just been a year. It feels like 10. So anyway, I appreciate the report very much. Any questions for Mr. Smith? Okay. Then can I have a motion to approve items 5B and C?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Marley, can I just add a comment, even though we approved it and I voted aye. I just want to point out that on the donations list that is part of section 5C, that Ms. Mitchell had noted our partnership with important partners and BEF being among them, and the amount of donation money that has come in from the BEF is something that I think, you know, sometimes we look past it. And when I look at this list of donations into our schools, I want to thank again our important partners, including the BEF, for this amount of support that they give us each year.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to call the roll again since we didn't finish it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. That motion carries.
I apologize, Marley.
That's all right. All right, so moving ahead, I'm not sure, Ms. Abraham, if you covered your comments in your report with Dr. Good, or if there is more for 6A.
No, I've covered them previously. Thank you.
Like, no, I said enough. All right, great. Thank you. All right, so that moves us on to public participation. And I believe that we have one, I guess maybe I should ask first. Mr. Trill, do we have somebody signed up and present for public participation?
We have one person who signed up, and he's raising his hand, Chris Wyan. So he is here.
Okay. All right, great. So let me just read this for a second. So although under state law, the Board of Education is not required to offer public comment during a regular board meeting, we do welcome the opportunity to hear from our community members. As such, we encourage your participation within certain parameters. We appreciate you having already signed in. And I just ask when you start speaking to please state your name and address so we know we have a record of who is speaking. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes per our board policy. And finally, I'll just note that public comment is just that. It's the public's opportunity to be heard. It is not a question and answer session with the board. So we look forward to hearing your comments, but per our board policy, we will not respond to public comment in a meeting or as individual board members. You can be assured, however, that we're actively listening and taking notes for future reference and review. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
All right. This is Chris Wand. I live at 1005 South Remington Road. Good evening. I'm speaking today on behalf of a group of parents with children in the e-learning PLP program. Dr. Good and members of the board. We listened to the presentation regarding the PLP platform that Dr. Boyle made to the Bexley Board of Education at the last meeting, and we wanted to reach out to the school administration and the Board of Education in response. While we appreciate Dr. Boyle's efforts, we feel it is important to also point out that there are several challenges with the program that need to be acknowledged. Many members of our group individually reached out to Dr. Good, Dr. Boyle, and the e-learning teachers over the last term. The responses have been prompt, but several critical challenges continue to exist. We feel a productive path forward would be to prioritize a constructive dialogue with the district about those challenges and how we can work together to improve the system to achieve positive outcomes for our children. We will be sending an email to Dr. Good, the board, and the e-learning team with a list of challenges and possible solutions to start the dialogue. We are also asking that a separate task force be created to address the issues that e-learners are facing and find solutions that can be implemented now. We want to once again affirm that we want this to be a constructive and positive force in helping e-learners through this tumultuous time. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Trill, are there any other members of our public signed up for public comment?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we'll move on to resolutions. Tonight we just have one item. Can I have a motion to approve item 8A?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. That motion carries. So we are now at the end of our board meeting. I will just, other matters that may properly come before the board. I just wanted to confirm with our board members who are on this call that are on the Zoom meeting, that we will be holding a special meeting on, let me look at my calendar, on January 20th at 6:30. It will be, at this time, we intend for it to be entirely an executive session. It's
Marley, is it 6:30 or is it?
7.
Oh, thank you. It's 7:30.
Okay.
Thank you very much. 7:30 on the
Okay.
20th.
No problem.
I was reading another date. And so, yes, so we'll have a special meeting then. It'll be entirely, we expect it to be entirely an executive session as we need to begin discussing some personal matters around our superintendent position. So we will be doing that on January 20th. And we will, of course, report in executive session. We can never make any decisions. We have to make all votes in public. So if there any decisions do come out of that, we will come out of executive session that evening and vote on anything. I don't anticipate that, but if this year has taught me anything, it's that a lot of things happen that I don't always anticipate. So I think that is it for this evening. For other matters that may properly come before the board, do any other board members have anything to offer under that section? All right, thank you. Hearing none, then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Perfect. I want to thank you all again for the great work, and I look forward to a great 2021.